And I want to ask you a question. It's a little sensitive question, but I'm
Okay.
curious. So, with your sexuality being a lesbian, right?
Yeah.
At what point did you realize that you were a
Oh
lesbian?
God.
And I'm wondering, like, how that affected you as well, on top of everything else.
Uh, Massively. I didn't come out till I was 20.
Mm.
Um, and it was so fucking obvious. I've dressed like this my whole life since I was like two,
Right.
three. There's probably like a couple of pictures where you see me dressed like a girl on Facebook where people dress me up when I cut my hair, or when my mum when I was really little. But it doesn't exist. This is how I've looked before I even knew primary school. My sister actually asked me like, "Oh, is there anyone you like at school?" And I was like, "Yeah," and I said the name, and she said, "That's a girl," and I said, "Yeah," and I didn't know it was wrong, and she told me that's wrong, like that's not
Mm.
right, and then afterwards she put it over my head for the next like next 15 years or something. Every time we have an argument, she threatened to be like, if you don't da 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 da, I'm gonna tell everyone that you fancied this girl.
Oh man.
Like, and so I'm thinking it's wrong, and then it's like I'm really attached more to Jar than any of my siblings. Like I'm
Right.
really they don't give a fuck, but I'm really attached and really fearful of God. And at this point, I pray every day, always looking at the sky type situation, and like I don't want to have these thoughts, and it's wrong, and yeah, and then. I'm just thinking it's wrong this whole time whilst having crushes. Like,
Mm.
like, and I couldn't
That's so
help it, and it was so
conflicting.
annoying.
Right.
Like,
That's so
stop feeling this
conflicting.
way. I was literally, and I'm just thinking it's so
Wow.
wrong. And then it got to a point where I was like, okay, cool. You are clearly not, you clearly can't be with a guy. But I also knew from a young age, this is something I knew from a young age. This is why I don't respect cowards who marry or get into relationships when you know fully well you're gay and then break up
Right.
families 20 years later on some bullshit. Because from a young age, I knew I am not going to get with a guy
Mm-hmm.
and get married and do all of that because I don't want to hurt that person because I knew I was being dishonest to that person.
Mm.
And I knew that as a young person.
Right.
So,
It's kind of like, I knew as a young person, as an adult, like, come on, you know you
the
wrong.
whole point of coming out without going in through that is to be brave. If you do it after the fact you already had a family and then made this woman believe, or man or whatever, believe their
Right.
whole lives that I had children that are 23-year-olds and stuff like that, like that's wild. You just wasted someone's time. Like that's cowardly. That's not brave.
No, it's not at all. So, speaking of bravery, though, like, what gave you the courage to come out?
I didn't have courage. I was depressed, and I was just sitting there. And my sister asked, "Oh, you can I just ask you something?" The same one that told me it was wrong ages ago when we were little. And then she
Mm.
just said, Do you like girls or whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And then afterwards, because I felt like I wasn't even there, and I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And then she was like, "Oh, can I tell mum?" And then afterwards, I was like, "Whatever." And then she goes and tells mum. My mum don't even care. So the whole time I think my mum would care. I didn't even
Right.
know. My mum tells me a whole story of when she came to England and she freaking moved in with some black lesbian women and literally fought in the lesbian wars in the 70s and everything.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, what the hell? It would have been
Revolutionary.
nice if I knew this information. Like, but nah. And then I just thought, even as I was in a relationship, I thought it was wrong. Like, I didn't think anything was right. Like, for a long time.
But after that moment of having that conversation with your mom, I
I didn't really
imagine.
have a conversation. She was busy.
Well, you said she talked about how she
No,
did.
this is like
Oh,
probably
so that was
14
way
years
after.
later.
After. Oh, wow. Okay, okay. Dang. So even like you really
Yeah.
coming out was just kind of
No one gave
wow.
a shit, and no one asked me questions. No one asked me about my struggle or anything I went through. I just had to deal with it. Oh.
Yeah, but I'm wondering like what were some of the struggles? Because I imagine like I only know what it's like here. I don't know what it's like for black people in the UK.
So it's because I'm in the Caribbean groupings of people in the UK.
Uh
It's your
huh.
culture, it's what you're part of. Because if you were Somalian, that would be even wilder. Like imagine you're a Muslim, like that'd be
Right.
even. So it's kind of like because you're always constantly hearing like in the Caribbean culture, you're like Chichi man for dead, Batty man burn, fire burn, burn. Burn, and some of the best songs as well
Right.
are literally homophobic. It's annoying,
Wow.
but they're such good songs, but they're bad songs because I'm literally dancing to them saying "burn." Like,
Dang.
but yeah, nah, it's mad. But so it kind of makes you feel like, oh shit, you can't say nothing. But It's more about the time. So I also come from a different time to what kids today are now having, like the Gen Zs or the Alphas. They get to be a bit more free, especially in the Caribbean households. It's a bit more freer because I feel like parents are more free with you being more gay as long as you're not trans kind of conversation. That's what's going on right now. So it's kind of like moved over to another prejudice, that kind of thing. Like, if that makes sense. I don't think they're happy about anything, but it's not as stigmatic on the gay part than it is of being trans or whatever, because that seems to be the topic of conversation right now.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, it's more freer for people now. It's legal to get married. So if I'm growing up,
Right.
I don't know. Like, all I know is I can't have children. IVF is for over 50-year-old women because I remember that was a thing, and it was like civil partnership. So you're going to get married. And even if you had child with this woman or whatever, and they had the child, if that woman died, the family could fight you in court and take that child because it's not your child. You know, like,
Right.
there just wasn't rights. So I'm thinking there's no rights, there's no future here. So let me just be on my Jack Jones and be alone. Like, there's no reason to, I guess, ever have love. And so I thought, and I started building up my life thinking, you're not ever going to have love. And that was it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's really sad, Kim.
Yeah. And now I'm back there.
Nah, man. That's so hard to hear because it's like you felt with so much love.
Yeah.
Like, and you're like one of the most genuine people I met in a very long time and very honest, like with living your truth, living out loud,